There we go. Now you should be able to hear me okay. Happy Monday. Give everybody a minute or two to pop on. If you're on Facebook, as a reminder, or if you're on YouTube, I'm streaming on both platforms at the same time. So if for some reason you're watching on Facebook and it freezes, or you have some issues, know that you can always pop over to YouTube and find the page for the Little Yarn Shop, and you can always watch me over there. Hello, hello. Tell me hi. If you're watching on a replay, tell me hashtag replay. If you're watching me live, tell me what you're working on, what you got going on this week. There we go. Sherry, Holly working on open finger winter gloves and Luty baby dress. Malcolm, Mary. Joyce finished the second section of her Cat Love MCAL. Wow. Debbie, done knitting your rear view window. I'm wearing my rear view window. We'll chat about that in a minute. Hi, Shar. Sarah, back to your pure local. Excellent. Look, squirrel. Excellent. Malcolm's not working on anything. You gotta make use of that retirement. Learn how to knit. Oh, Routelander. That's an old one. I'm glad you got that back out. Cindy making a sweater for your husband. Hi, Joe. Terry deciding what to knit next. Well, maybe I've got some good ideas for you. We'll see how that goes. Mary, making progress on your eating cardigan. Good. Okay, so I will go ahead and get started because it is after 7. Welcome to Monday Motivation. Today is Monday, January 16th, 2023. Malcolm, it's in a couple weeks. We can get you hooked up. You just have to be around for 6 weeks. My name is Kristen. I am the owner of the Little Yarn Shop located in downtown Saginaw, Michigan, inside the SVRC Marketplace. We're here Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have drop-in health classes Monday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30. I am here live on Facebook and YouTube almost every Monday. I will not be here next Monday because I will be in Mexico. But most Mondays at 7. Chris finished your 22 cowl. It's kind of a cool thing. I haven't worn mine that somebody gifted to me, Brenda gifted to me. I haven't worn it on the live yet. Maybe next time, if I remember, I'll wear it. It's a neat little pattern. The 22 cowl is a Casapinka cowl, uses 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and just in her usual style, kind of a sampler with different chunks of stitch patterns, I guess. So what am I wearing? Let's start with that because I did mention it. I am wearing my rear view window sweater by Casapinka. This is the one that came out for Small Business Saturday. It's knit on big needles, 9s or 10s, or both 9s and 10s, I think. And fingering weight and a mohair held together. So it's got this cute little panel in the front. This one is the one that you start at one cuff and you knit your way across to the other cuff. It's got a little bit of pattern down the sides, which is kind of a cool little slimming look. The rear view window part is this little patch back there. It's just a little bit of lace, really quick. Fairly simple to do. I wanted to wear it today, one, because it's cold in here. My thermostat says it's 69 degrees, so it's sweater weather in here. But But also I wanted to mention that I have the mohair restocked, so I have every color of mohair that Malabrigo currently makes on this rack behind me. And as a reminder, things vary a lot from skein to skein with Malabrigo. I'm trying to find a good example. Well, these all look kind of similar, but you'll see sometimes this chameleon is the color that I used on mine. So this skein is pretty dark compared to this skein being a lot lighter. And you can kind of see that in my sweater, but I'm okay with it. Melissa did post a link on Facebook to the Malabrigo website page for mohair that has all the different colors. I know I've gone through them before and I didn't want to go through them all again, but it's easier to see their photos obviously are a little bit better quality than me just kind of showing stuff off. Sometimes my cameras look a little off on things. So that's what I'm wearing for, I think I had 1 or 2 people that wanted me to set yarn aside. Oh, good. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Excellent. Melissa's posting the links on the YouTube comments. I had a few people that were interested in the color specifically that I did with the Malabrigo sock in Swamp and the mohair in Chameleon. I do have restocks of both of those things. So if that's something that any of you are still interested in, I can pull those yarns for you too. However, anything that anybody wants tonight, if I am able to, I will pull it before I leave tonight. Otherwise, it might not happen until I get back from Mexico. I leave Wednesday, so I will be here this evening at the shop after I do my live and tidying up a few things. Hi, Oriana. Otherwise, I won't be back in the shop until next Wednesday, probably next Tuesday or Wednesday. We actually get home. I don't even know what day we get home. I think we get home Monday, late Monday night. I don't know, you guys, I've not planned any part of this trip. I've barely planned what I'm taking to wear. My husband and one of his friends planned this whole thing. I'm just pretty much gonna make sure that I'm ready by Wednesday morning, and whenever they say it's time to go, we go. And whenever they tell me it's time to come home, I will come home. And hi Jill, I really don't care that much because I just want to be in sunshine. That's my goal. Thank you, Melissa. I come back Monday, but I think we come back late Monday night. That's why I can't chat with all of you. So that's what I'm wearing. What am I working on? I am working on a few different things. What I'm knitting while I'm chatting with you is my Etta sweater, which is this little guy here. I don't know if you guys can see that on Facebook. Etta sweater by Barocco. Just a top down seamless, not even raglan shaped sleeves, just shaping within the yoke of the sweater. So I showed last week. Here's my progress so far. I love how the stripes change when the rows get shorter. Obviously my rows are a lot longer up here because they include the sleeves. But once I separated for the sleeves for front and back, you can see my rows have fewer stitches, so I get wider stripes. I think it's just a beautiful sweater. There's all my pretty lace up at the top. So here's one of those things that, and this is using Barocco Summer Sesame. I'm on my second ball and I'm not sure. I still have a few rows to knit and then more, like some increases. It has a few waist shaping decreases, just like 1, 2, 3 sections where you do a little bit of a decrease, but then you do some increases as well. I really think it would be cool if between today and tomorrow I got this done so I could take it with me and wear it in Mexico. And it's just little cap sleeves, so I really don't have much to do with the sleeves beyond picking up and doing a couple rows. But what I was going to talk about is, you might notice this little safety pin. Well, maybe you can't see it, but one of my, it's not even a safety pin. It's one of my stitch markers, one of the pair pin stitch markers at the back of the collar. This was because I didn't like the way the pattern was written. And so this is one of those cases of, you don't have to do exactly what the pattern says. I think they have you cast on, you join it in the round, then you purl around, knit around, purl around, knit around, purl around, knit around. And I didn't want to do that. So what I did to get the same effect, because essentially what they want you to have is 3 garter ridges. So there's my 3 garter ridges. That is achieved the same way if I don't join it and I just knit back and forth for 6 rounds or 6 rows. You all know how much I'm not a big fan of purling, right? So that's what I did. I knit the first 6 rows flat and then I joined it to knit in the round. Yes, I have this little notch here, but I also have the tail from my cast on here that I can go leave my tail in and stitch that closed at the same time. And nobody will ever know. It does have some short rows built into the back of it. And I don't know if you can see it because of the striping. I guess you kind of can right along here, this little wedge right here. And there's this little wedge right here on this side. That's where the short row shaping is. I got done with the short row shaping and started going back into the round. With short rows, you're not going in a complete circle. So you're turning and purling back and turning and knitting partial rows. Hi, Aunt Jackie. I had a brief moment of panic thinking maybe I had a smaller needle on one side than I did on the other, like I did with that Peter Easy vest last week, but I double checked and they are the same size. So I didn't mess myself up again. Jackie, you might notice my mama's not on here because she's out with Uncle Denny tonight for dinner instead. So this is coming along pretty well. It calls for anywhere between 2 and 5 balls of the summer sesame yarn. I did go over that last week, so you could always go back, and if you're not local, you can go back and watch last week's video, see the colors if there's something that you think might pique your interest, or of course pop in the shop and see them in person. Joyce mentioned that she is working on her Cat Love scarf, which is a mystery knit along, and it's double knit. And I am officially, well, not even officially, I am almost halfway through the first clue for this scarf. So it's called Cat Love scarf. MCal. So if you see it, that's what it's going to look like on Ravelry. The first chart has 4 sections. I'm just about here, working my way up. I'm not stressing myself about trying to keep up because right now the second clue came out last Thursday. The third clue will come out this coming Thursday. And double knitting is not a quick thing. Honestly, I think for people that do a lot of color work, they're probably faster at this than I am. I'm a fast knitter when I just have to go around in a circle. This 2-color thing is slowing me down. But I wanted to get far enough so you guys could see the cat. So I just finished his ears up. Once I get another row or two, you'll be able to see him a little bit better. So this is what double knitting is. One side, the cat's brown, one side, the cat's green. So you're knitting both layers of fabric. Now that I've gotten into it, I can explain it a little bit better too. You're knitting both sides of the fabric at the same time with each stitch is really a pair of stitches. It's fun and it's different, and it's really something that forces me to pay close attention to my knitting. If I were to do this again, what would I do differently? I would use bigger yarn and bigger needles. That would be my primary thing. And a yarn that doesn't split very easily. This yarn is my souvenir yarn that I got a few years back in Florida. Jefferson. What, my elephant or my cat scarf? So I'm on size 1 needles, you guys. This is like what I would have to use for socks. I would, if I were to do this again, probably go up to a sport weight yarn and size 3 needles. Sorry, Melissa's distracting me. She's being completely random. Quite a few of her patterns are written for bigger yarn and needles. And Joyce, maybe you could answer this. Is there a reason you wouldn't be able to just do this pattern with bigger yarn and bigger needles? I still understand that it would have to be a pretty dense fabric. So like if you were to use sport weight yarn and like a size 3 needle, it would still be pretty, a pretty solid fabric, I guess would be the way to put it. So I am going to show you guys mistakes because I made mistakes, but luckily, of course, when you make a mistake on the front, for the most part, you make the mistake on the back too. But I also, in this section where it's mirrored, basically 2 repeats, I had made the same mistake on both repeats. It's easier to see on this side, but these little circles that are inside these hearts are supposed to be little hearts, but I missed a stitch right there and right there. But I was not going to go back and fix it. If it really bothers me at the end, I can always take some scrap yarn and do a little duplicate stitch. It would make a huge scarf. Oh, lengthwise. Yeah, that's true. It would make, this is an 8-week mystery knit along. So if I'm halfway through the first clue, each week would be that much more of 8 weeks. That would be a really big scarf. I was thinking wider, it would be wider, but it would be longer too. I should probably have used 1.5 needles, but I was at home and I wanted to start this and all I could find were ones. I also didn't take my own advice last night. I was knitting away on this and my needle, I had probably that far in to the row and I pulled my needle out accidentally. And I always tell people the first thing to do is don't panic. I panicked a little bit, but then I recovered and was able to, typically what I will tell people to do is get a smaller needle if they can to pick up the stitches if they've lost them. But the first thing is to pinch under it. So when my needle came out, the first thing I did was just kind of pinch so those stitches weren't going anywhere. The next step was just to get each stitch on the needle. I don't pay attention to whether that stitch is splitting. I don't pay attention to which direction it's going. I do pay attention to make sure that they're in the right order once I get things back and going, but the primary thing is just to get all the stitches back on a needle. Then you can kind of slip them from one to another and manipulate them a little bit, but don't panic. I try not to panic, but I panicked a little bit because, again, It's a double fabric and tiny needles and tiny yarn. So I decided on my project that I'm going to take for hi Joan, for vacation knitting. I wanted something that was fun and engaging, but not so complicated that I would have to really pay attention. So I decided I had a few of these colorburst skeins left. I had 4, now I have 3. These are all the sport weight colorburst skeins from Wonderland Yarns. So they're sport weight 344 yards. And I don't know how I ended up with a purple one, you guys. How did I end up with a purple skein nobody got? At the bottom of the pile after I got done last week, I realized there was one I didn't even show all of you because I forgot that I had it. So I wound it up, and I wish I had waited because it's tough to see when it's in the cake like this. Oh, it's so bright. My YouTube video looks super bright, but you guys can see it in Facebook land. It essentially 3/4 of the skein, like this one is mostly pink with a little bit of grays up there. Most of the skein, it looks like confetti birthday cake. And then there's one little section of bright teals and reds. So there are a lot of patterns out there now that are for planned pooling or assigned pooling. One of the designers that's doing patterns like that is, what is her name? Chris Plateau. So I found this pattern called the Sunrise Sunset Cowl. And it's written for a specific dyer, but I'm hoping it's, I'm hoping the yarn was dyed in the same manner in which I want to, that it'll act the same, I guess is the way to put it. This pattern has some interesting techniques in terms of what you can do to make sure your little slipped or little patterned areas don't stack up on top of each other. So she shows a little picture in the back with how you can see they're offset. They might overlap a little bit, but it's knit in a way where when you get to that little color burst section, you do a little bit of a different pattern. So that's the Sunrise Sunset Cowl. And I'm making it out of this, and I don't even know. Let's see what this color is. I'm going to be pulling from the middle of the skein anyway. So if we ever wind yarn for you and you can't find your label, chances are it's on the inside. Most of you have seen us do that, but some may not have. So this color is an inkling of something brilliant. I'm a little bit torn between finishing my summer top and starting this cowl. So we'll see. We'll see where I end up when I get back in a couple weeks. Maybe I'll have all kinds of things to show you guys. So those are what I'm working on. What's coming up? Well, that cowl, I want to make a hat. Designer Jenny Noto has a whole series of hats. I don't think she's the same one that designed this, but Jenny has a whole series of hat patterns that are written for multiple weights. So like this pattern is called Tentacula, the Tentacula hat. And look at the little designs that are in there. It's so cool. But it's written for worsted, Aran, light bulky, and what she calls light super bulky or bulky. So that would be like your Malabrigo Rasta or Noventa would work with the gauge that they say for the light super bulky or bulky. You need 95 to 109 yards if you're doing it in one color. So she has photos, and I think the main Well, of course, I didn't print off the last page that had just pictures. It's written for either one color or two. Oh, it is the same designer. Okay. Skill level, intermediate. If you're doing one color, she calls it an intermediate pattern. If you're doing two colors, she does call it an advanced pattern, because there are these little, and I will be curious too, because both of these have kind of a bursty style of their stitches, but done in completely different ways. So I'll be curious to see how one compares to the other, if one's easier than the other. I want to make another hat out of the Noventa. I really think a two-color version of this Tentacula hat would be fun with the remnants of this little guy that I have and something darker. But I wanted to point out new colors that I got this time, you guys, that are just gorgeous. So I got back in stock the Continental Blue. This is the blue that I used to knit my mom's vest for Christmas. That just turned out absolutely beautifully. And a lot of you saw me knitting on it here in the shop and commented on the yarn. And I had used everything I had here for her vest. So I got that back in stock. This color though, there is no way this is going to come across on the screen anywhere close to how beautiful it is. It is navy with turquoise and teal, and it's just, it almost glows. For being such a dark color, I feel like it almost glows with how vibrant it is. Some of that is in general, a superwash yarn will absorb color more readily than a non-superwash yarn. So these colors look a little bit more vibrant than like Malabrigo Rasta, because Rasta is not a superwash yarn. Still get plenty of vibrant colors with Rasta. I got a new red, which I do have this in other bases, this Cereza. This red, but it's a beautiful red. Again, it doesn't show, cameras don't show the beauty of it. The way Malabrigo does their single ply yarn is really unique. You can see it kind of has little bumps in it all the way down. That is intentional. That's part of their process and how it's spun in order to keep it firm. I was concerned the first time I worked on this, when I was working on this hat, I was concerned that if you put too much stress on it, if you just tried to pull it, it would come right apart, because it's just one twisted yarn. It's not multiple plies together. But when I got to a point where I would break my yarn, I could not break the yarn. I ended up having to cut it. So oh, that's a good thing. It's a strong yarn. It is, they consider it a super bulky, 90 yards, 125 grams. So they say anywhere from 9 to 11 stitches on 13s to 17s. This pattern calls for 12 stitches on 11s. So it's a little bit more dense than what they would typically use this for, but it's a hat, so it's not surprising. So you could do this hat in one color. It would be cutting it close to use one skein for this hat, because it says 95 to 109 yards. I feel like you would be okay though. I had quite a bit of this left. However, this pattern is going to use extra yarn because of all those little design features in there. That's going to suck up a lot of yarn. So maybe if you do that, get two to be safe. The other way you could know that you have enough yarn is to do the 2-color version, and then you get one skein of each color. I got this beautiful, it's called a Livenite. And it's just like a dark gray, a little bit of a brown tone in it, but it's more gray than brown. So that's a new color, and I think this is the only, I think Noventa, this base is the only color, is the only one that color comes in. I think I got this one too, Sedimentario, which is more like flamey orangey. Guys, my hair is everywhere compared to the red. So here's the red. Here, this one is Cereza. This one is Sedimentario. So the more of the orangey tones of reds. Now, Fiona I got before. Continental I got more of. Anniversario. I got another batch of Rosa Linda, which is one of the ones that I say looks like opals, like pink opals. So that's here on our little feature wall, which is right by the register. When you come in the doors, it's right here by the register. All the Malabrigo, you guys. Something in mind for the blue and turquoise yarn. I want to make a whole sweater out of it, Diane. It is just, I've got to find a sweater, and this might be what I make out of it. I would have to figure out how many I need. But I really think I could find a pattern that's written for yarn like Rasta and make a version that's not quite so woven cowl. I wish it would show me a picture. I think doing something like a sweater out of this versus Rasta would be not so dense. You could do that if you crochet. That's a crochet one, I think. There is a pattern called Erica, A-R-I-K-A, that is a beautiful fringed cowl that has a similar look to the one that Melissa just posted. Would be beautiful too. And I think you would use 2 skeins of yarn for that. Coming up, I got the January batch of Knitted Wits. It's just blowing out my computer screen here. Liberally Bleeding Heart. Liberally Bleeding, not breeding, Heart is their January the club color, and this is for the they call it Shanna Jeans Exploring the Rainbow Club. So it's a pink red, I guess is the best way to describe it. Last time I showed it when I got my sample skein, I held it up with the pinks and I held it up with the reds, and it's kind of, it's not really in the middle of either one of those. This color is off on its own. But when they sent me this month's batch of January, they sent me my sample skein of February, which is called Bespeckled Raspberry. So the Rainbow Club, every month you get a skein and it's working its way through the rainbow 2 months at a time. So for red, January was a solid, February was a speckled to go with it. March will be kind of a yellowy orange color, will be a solid. April will be a speckled version of that same color. Each month, this is a DK weight yarn, 280 yards from Knitted Wit, superwash, 100% superwash merino. They have multiple suggestions for patterns. Each month, you will get a complimentary, nope, not this one. Each month does have a pattern associated with it. This month is a Take a Break socks, DK weight socks, which I have been kind of keeping my eye out for. So that's each month you'll get a different DK weight pattern suggestion, but they also are writing patterns for a crochet and a knit blanket if you just want to knit your way through the rainbow every month. So I think either one would be just gorgeous. I still am trying to figure out if there's a way I could do a temperature blanket with this, but I don't really think you could, because Maybe I could. That would give me 12 colors. I would have to figure that out a little bit. Okay, so that's one of the clubs that I got the last time. I didn't have the pink yarn or the red yarn in. I do have it now. I posted a picture, but I didn't show everybody last week the January mini skeins from Dream in Color. I feel like 2023 should just be the year of clubs because we've got a lot of a lot of clubs, which I think is fun. As a shop, I like the fact that it allows me to bring in a new yarn without a huge commitment or investment in a lot of different colors and a lot of different designers. I kind of get to pick here and there, which is kind of cool. So the mini skein club started in July and goes through June. And this month, so every month you participate, you get 10 mini skeins of Smushy with Cashmere. Each one is 88 yards. So it would be comparable size-wise to the Madeline Tosh unicorn tails. And throughout the 12 months, Dream is, whoops, I almost dropped one, working their way through all of their colors. So there's no real rhyme or reason that I know of. Maybe they have one, why they put certain colors together each month. It's not like you're getting a color grouping, but there are still, for all the colors I have, there are still colors that I've not had before. This Angel is a really pretty pale purple. Queen's Lake, we've had that one before. That's a popular one. Fortune Teller is kind of a peachy color. Jocelyn is one of our more popular, vibrant pinky reds. Not quite as vibrant as that, but still a beautiful, kind of a fuchsia color, I would say. Tart, I've not had this one before. So that's a brighter green. Billowy is a newer one that I've just started getting that in a couple times. Bedtime is very similar to the Continental. It's a little bit different shade wise, but it's kind of that, I don't know, I want to say electric blue, but I don't feel like that's right. Rabbit Ears is their most popular neutral. Lay a Rose, that one we saw a lot a couple years ago when they did the bunny and owl nest and burrow patterns. This was a prominent color in those kits. And True to Life. So every month you get 10 mini skeins. And I have some people who have committed to all of the months. I have some people that just want to wait until we get the colors in and go from there. Each month is $100 plus tax for the 10 minis. But for anybody who, it's been so long since I explained it. For anybody who buys 6 months or more of the mini collections, they get 10% back in store credit at the end of this cycle. So in June, anybody that does all 12 months gets 20% back from what they spent in store credit in June. So it's a little bit of an incentive to, if it's something that you're interested in, to keep coming back to. And all the clubs are only, we only get so many a month like this. I think I have 2. I may only have 1 set that's not spoken for because I do have people that commit to every month. So if it's something you're interested in, I need to know, tell me. I do have leftover One packet left from December as well. Where's my notes here? Look at my notes. More things upcoming. For those of you that participate in the Wander Knit, that is a quarterly travel sort of club, where every quarter Skacel, who is the manufacturer of the yarn and the producer of these kits, picks a country and they put together a kit featuring that country. So you'll get, each time you get a brochure that talks about the country, you get a little button to put on your map project bag. You get some sort of consumable, like this past one was Morocco, and you got a little thing of spice, and you got a coaster. So every time it's different things. So they just announced their next one is Patagonia, which is really neat. The patterns look really cool. So if you look at the link that Melissa just posted, you can see on there the description, and in the description, it has links to the 3 patterns. There are 2 hats and a cowl, and it shows the yarns. I don't have it set up to be able to purchase it through the website yet, because I want to give my frequent flyers the first opportunity to get their kits, because I do only get 10 of them. So I want to make sure that they get the first opportunity before it goes out to the general public. But so if you've done Wander Knit in the past, be looking out for an email from me on that. Probably when I get back from Mexico, that will happen. I don't think it'll happen before then. But my order is in, and I got a confirmation of it today. So I'm thinking it may be on its way to me shortly. I think when I get back from vacation, I'm going to have all kinds of boxes here. I know I've got needle orders from Chiagu, a Notions order, this Wander Knit, and I'm sure there are a few others that are going to show up while I'm gone. I'm only going to be gone 5 days, but that's okay. It's totally worth it. Then when I get back, I just have to, hang out here a little bit longer and work on some stuff. I've had a lot of people ask me about the Dream in Color pop-up club. They typically do a club in the spring and a club in the fall. So the fall one went September, October, November, December. We take January off, and then it picks up again in February. So Dreams February spring club is still their Smushy with Cashmere yarn. So it's a 4-ounce skein, 400 yards of merino, cashmere, and nylon. I believe it's 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, 10% nylon. Those 2 might be switched. Oh, look, these are smushy. They'll tell me. 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, 10% nylon. Aha. And I only get a certain number of those too. They're doing something a little bit differently this time, where they are going to have patterns that will pair with the yarn as suggested, but the yarns are all going to be dyed with the intent of getting assigned pooling. So that's like this yarn from Wonderland Fibers, similar to the cowl that Dream in Color had for Small Business Saturday, where you just get those little blips of color and you do something different. So their yarns are going to be dyed that way. Their patterns are going to correspond with it. I was just on Ravelry the other day, and there is a designer, and I'm not going to be able to think of her name. She was kind of Dawn Barker is her name. She's a designer. she was kind of the originator of this whole concept, the OG, I guess. She's been around for a while. She has quite a few patterns that do kind of like a little starburst sort of thing. But she has a new, nope, it's not even her, you guys. She has good ideas though. If you wanted to kind of look at projects, there are more and more out there though. But there's a new sweater that Stacy pointed out to me called Murder of Crows. And it's designed for both an assigned pooling yarn paired with a solid or a semi-solid that's the same color. So, how would I describe it? So like this guy here, as example. So this is, most of it is this really pretty pale pink. And then it's got this dip of yellow, purple, and gray down at the end. So you would pair something like this with a solid pale pink and knit the sweater. It's just, it's such a neat concept and a neat look. I think there are going to be more and more patterns coming out that will feature this type of yarn because it seems to be a pretty popular thing. So those of you who have participated in that in the past, or if you haven't, but you are interested, let me know and I can put your name on the list for that. Again, that starts in February. The yarn each month, once I get the yarn is $35 a skein. If you pre-order before I have the yarn here in the shop, they're $32.50 per skein. I will have that up on the website. It's not up there yet, but I wanted to mention it to you all because I just found out about it and wanted to tell all of you about it. I think that's all I have to talk about. Personally, I can talk about the fact that we just went to coffee yesterday. I posted a picture yesterday afternoon. We went to Harless and Hugh in Bay City. Just so happened to see Bay City's finest having somebody pulled over right outside the coffee shop so we could, it was boring though. It wasn't like it was really entertainment, but we could see somebody. Oh, Sock Madness. Sock Madness registration begins February 1st and only goes for 14 days. There's already a warm-up pattern. Joyce was telling the girls in here the other day about Sock Madness. That is not my thing, but that is her thing. And she and Suzanne and a few others of you have done that in the past. Joan, I know, did it one time. It's such a fun thing to watch other people participate in. That's my perspective on it. But for you sock knitters, what a great way to expand your horizons. They almost always have different techniques, different patterns, different constructions. Just like, you never know, like this is not one of those patterns. This is just the DK weight pattern that we were talking about before, but it has a really unique heel on it. That's not your typical heel flap. With Sock Madness, if you sign up, which there's no cost to sign up for Sock Madness, I believe you have to get through the qualifying round in order to receive the rest of the patterns for free, but I could be wrong on that. Otherwise, it's a whole bunch of patterns and you get to see them before anybody else does. And then you've got them in your toolbox to, at some point in the future, if you want to knit socks, you can, and learn something new. I know this last time there were things Joyce did that she's never done before, like put a pocket in a sock, or you know, there have been socks where the patterns mirror each other instead of being identical. There was a pattern that had brioche on the back side and stranded color work on the front side. Just different things. So if you kind of get bored with your knitting, it's a cool thing to try. I don't get anything out of it. I just think it's a neat thing to experience from afar, I guess, or across the table. As a reminder, Joyce is here for the next 6 weeks on Fridays from noon to 2. Joyce is here, and she's here specifically during that time for double knit help. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be on the double knit scarf that we're working on, the MCAL. If you have any interest in double knitting, if you tried it but got frustrated with it and you've got a project, stop in and see her. She's just a wealth of knowledge, you guys, on so many things, and the most patient teacher. It's $10 to come and sit with her for 2 hours, and I'm taking full advantage of it and learning things each week. So let's see, all you need to do to receive the patterns is the one qualifying sock. Those receive the patterns at the end of the competition. So how cool is that? So Joyce is here from noon to 2 for the next 6 weeks on Friday. So keep that in mind. All right. Yeah, Joyce rocks. Okay, you guys, I think that's it. My mind's starting to wander toward vacation. I did go through the shop the other day and pulled 3 or 4 or 5 summer sweaters from here, the summer sorrel, and I didn't get the slipping sideways, but I did get the summer shandy. There were a couple others. I don't remember. The beauty of making things so they fit me in the shop as I go through and I can pull stuff and actually wear it. Are they taking you to a place in Mexico where there are no yarn stores? Malcolm, I have Googled it. I have looked in Cancun. It looks like there is a yarn store, but that's quite a bit north of us. So we'll see. I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to get any souvenir yarn down there, but that's okay. I'll come back with souvenir suntan instead. So I hope everybody has a good week, a good 2 weeks. If I don't see you, please still stop in the shop. Karen will be here. She probably will have somebody hanging out and keeping her company, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't come in and say hi and sit and knit for a bit too. So have a good 2 weeks. Enjoy the rest of this week. Seems like we've gotten some sunshine the last couple of days, so we're all on board for that, I think. Okay, I hope everybody has a great week, and I will talk to you all when I get back from hopefully sunny Mexico. Bye.